Good morning. This is Perry Wilkey with Startup Trading. It is 8:42 a.m. Eastern Time on the first day of May 1st, the first trading day of the month, and the first day of the month, May 1st, 2020. So, looking out at notable, we had Apple and Amazon after the bell on Thursday, and then this morning before the bell, we have some earnings from some players, but the bigger one will be ExxonMobil. They've already affirmed they're not touching the dividend earlier this week, so I don't know, how much that's really going to come into play for anything. So, again, looking down at yesterday's action, basically, you had the Russell now down the most, as a normal laggard would do. So it went from and it's still the biggest beta play, right? Whether you're playing beta up or beta down, it's still the Russell right now. So looking at the different time frames, you can see modest pullback for the other three and a major pullback for the Russell. You can see it on the different time frames here. So the Nasdaq and the Russell are about the same, the RTY there. And then looking out, it's still outperforming, although modestly so, on everything under 20 days and 20 days and under. Getting out to 60 days, it's still the laggard by far, and then year to date and the previous years, et cetera, et cetera. So looking at the overnight action, 49 points have traded so far, even though we're down 60. So you may ask how that happened, because we haven't even traded back up to where we close, right? There's a gap between where we close and or where the future settled and where we opened. So if you look at the bell-to-bell low yesterday, which was 28.83 quarter, we traded during the rest of that session, right, all the way down here to 28.78. So that difference in there is what I call the water, right? These are trades that went off in that 45 minutes that futures trade, but the stock market is closed, right? So traders traded this area below the bell yesterday, even though the settlement was up here. So this is not an underwater close, but it did have underwater trades. And I always mark these off and pay attention to them because they always seem to be important going forward. So we opened up, gap down, that was all taken back. We get to that point where the resistance is, and think of this as a big fat support resistance area, this water area that I've marked off. So now you've sold off from there and you've come down. So basically we're almost at S4 right now. That's where the slow is. So only about 11 days out of the year do we get really a lot of conviction going above or below a level 4. So with that said, you have to ask yourself, is it going to be one of those 11 days today? Or are we going to end up, reverting back up and closing above this level 4 later? So it gets a little bit dicier down here trying to stay short or look for shorts that are going to get in here. Just keep that in mind. We can go lower and then into the close we can get a pop back up. So look at all the indexes. We had a lot of underwater and everything except for the Dow yesterday. And you can see as we've come up in the overnight action, right, we've just went through the area here, and it's been resistant. So one thing that we can watch, right, so these underwater traders, the reason we watch them is because they are out of position. Since they are out of position, what we want to do, they need lower. Anyone who initiated a new short in this area, right, they got a worse price or a lower price for that, and their trade location is much worse than anyone else from the bell-to-bell session from yesterday. So these were aggressive traders that entered new positions in this time. So you need lower prices to get them paid. Well, they've got them so far overnight, right? So what we watch now is this overnight low, because now you have a new set of shorts between the bottom of this water, right, and where this overnight low is, this green dotted line going across the screen. So they need continuation below this to make their trades work out in earnest. So what can happen is this overnight low, right? The bears can, or the bulls can try to defend this, right? Drive it up. The bears really need to knock this below this and hold it down there, right? So pay attention to this overnight low as trading starts. And one thing for sure is in the Russell, you've almost got a little distribution here from about 3:15 a.m. So this area of the chart right here is where traders are trapped. So uh, all the bulls really need to do is break out to the upside a little bit and smack the hands of these traders here a little bit. Go back up for some retracement, and then you can go back lower again, or you can actually initiate a short squeeze pattern up and out. The reason I watch this underwater close and underwater trade pattern so much is because normally in our bull market that we've been in for the last 11 and a half years before we started our meltdown on February 20th, anytime that you had this pattern, there was high odds, it was 70 to 75%, that you would close above the top of this water for the session. So what does that mean? Even though we've gapped down today could be nothing but, from the opening bell, it could be nothing but a buy. We will see, but keep in mind, especially with the ES down by, S4A, that it's potential that we could just get that short squeeze pattern going up if they trap these shorts. It's going to be a little bit dicey here this morning. So looking at the sequences overnight, you can see this top right is a bull check, so it's a bull sequence. It's been sloppy, right? Even coming out of this low at 28, 30, 75. Haven't really done anything. They've come 20 and a quarter points off of that low so far at this high mark. And then looking at where the bears are, you can see they're basically held the 50, held the 50 to 38.2 here, held the 38.2, come back down, sloppily holding this 38.2. The next target down is 28.19 quarter if you don't break 28.61. Right? So looking at the other sequences as well, and this is just for the session. These are micro sequences, right? These aren't long-term sequences here we're looking at. Those are just since the session opened last night. So again, sloppy for the bulls on the NASDAQ, 63 and a quarter points so far, and you're near the top of the range after breaking the 61.8. But looking at the from the high of the session last night, coming down, right? 61.8 holding, 61.8 holding, come back down, 38.2 to 50 holding so far, and we're about to come back up and test. So that 50 is at 87.93 half, right? And then the 61.8 is at 88.09 half. And the target down here will be 86.93 if this completes. Looking at the Russell, same thing, sloppy for the bulls, right? 9.9 point range here, just consolidating and really sloppy to start with, but then firmly held the 50 just after midnight last night, and then come down to targets. And there was actually a little bit of an extension sequence that you could watch for a break as a sign that's basically from this low that's around. You can zoom in on your chart and get it exactly, but 1282.70 down to this 1266 half. This is the sequence that's holding it down. So breaking that 61.8, going back up could be more meaningful. Target down here, right, for holding this 1285.70 and responding off of one of these fibs is 1259.20. So looking at the ES, and we'll go through here. So we've been watching intently this 28.81 level, right? It was resistance on Monday, got back up over it. It was resistance again on Tuesday afternoon. Finally busted through it. It became support on Wednesday. Come back up. We closed back down right near there yesterday, and then went underneath of it on the, during the session after the Wall Street closed, and then come back up. Now this has been resistance again, so this is a very important support resistance line, this 28.81. So as we come back down now, these blue dotted or dashed lines, right? They're minor support resistance levels. So you can see right around this 28.47. You could probably bring it up to 28.50 now. That is, let's go ahead and do that. And all these aren't to the tick draws, right? These are areas, right? So you come back down here, you can see that's clearly been resistance so far in the overnight. So the next one I have down is 28.29, and then 2808 is what I'll be watching for. If we really get things going, which, it's going to be hard to believe that we could get below 2808, but if things get out of control, today could be one of those 1 in 7 to 11 days of the year that you get acceleration above or below a level 4B. So let's look at the NASDAQ, but playing for that isn't the smartest thing, that it's going to be one of those rare days. So as we come back down here, 87.86, right, is what we're flirting with. And you could probably even move that up to 88.09, right where this starts to jet out a little bit more. I'll zoom that over there. You can see the edge of this node, and then coming back down, you can see that basically for the time period that I'm looking for, which is basically December 2nd of 19 to current, this is the point of control. This is where the most volumes went off, right down here where we're bottoming off at 87.24 is where we stopped at the, so far in the overnight session. So holding above there, right, the point of control is going to be key for the bulls. And then going back down below, the next big ledge you have out here is at 86.12. Looking at the Russell, you can see the Russell has lost the 1284.30, come back down. I really don't have any support on here until 1250.30. So we'll just watch in here, and it could be a little bit of a hot mess, to be honest with you. Could just be consolidating, going back and forth. Looking at the Dow, right, we've come back under that level. We're holding the 23,710 levels, and then the next thing I have is 23,560 below that. So looking at all the indexes and putting a wrap up on this so I can get off this mic so Jack can get ready to go is, watch this water. Remember, we have news today at 10 a.m. So we have ISM manufacturing at 10 a.m. Watch that print. We could end up getting a flush down for the first 30 minutes, some continuation, or up, and that could be a pivotal point when that comes out. And then watch consolidation. If you don't stop trading and you actually do trade the afternoon and closer to the closing bell, you could get some action at that time if you have a long period of consolidation, right? Breaking either above or below that consolidation. And I'll, if we have that pattern set up, I'll put it in the Discord today where I think the odds favor that we break out of that consolidation pattern if we do have that lunchtime consolidation pattern. And remember, today is Friday, so we could just hang out lower and could, just consolidate and shop around. We are several percent down for, almost everything now, right? So a lot to look at, a lot to watch. Trust the price action, and really pay attention to that news at 10 a.m. today. So I'll be in Discord a few times a day, given as after ISM, I'll give a little blurb out there on Discord, and then I'll also give one this afternoon where I think any key levels would be. Have a great day, and I'll talk to the rest of you on Monday. And if you do, or I'm sorry, if you would like to load this chart, if you have Thinkorswim, there is a link below how you can get this chart and the daily newsletter that I put out. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.